consistently attract soulmate clients, begin showing up on brand, monetizing on your calling. Welcome all spiritual coaches, leaders, healers, light workers, and practitioners to a show that turns you on in your business and amplifies your magnetism. I'm host, catalyst, and spiritual business coach Rosalyn Fung, and I'm here to journey with you into the juicy and help you discover where the real gaps are. Ignite your mindset and soul with strategies and systems as each episode takes you to the sweet spot that activates your Soulgasmic business. Enjoy this light language activation as we begin to magnetize and monetize. Hello, my loves. Welcome to another incredible episode. I am so excited for today's episode. Let me ask you these questions. What are you longing for? What would it be like to give yourself permission, relentless permission to be 100% you? And who or what stops you living a beautiful love affair with yourself and your life? This is not going to be a fluffy episode, my loves. Let me tell you, this is going to be a soulgasmic, like the definition of soulgasmic. Even you just feeling into the energy of my special guest, my soul sister here, who I'm going to be introducing in a very short bit. But we are really going to be diving deep into the love cauldron. And so stay tuned. Before we move into that, if you're an impact hungry and ambitious coach, light worker, healer, therapist, practitioner, body worker, anyone who is here to create transformation in the personal and spiritual realm with others, you want to create ripple effects, but you're struggling to stand out in the noise, you're struggling to show up, you're hiding a little bit, and because we all know where our level is. So that's you, and you want to confidently magnetize your soulmate clients, your soul tribe, and unapologetically monetize on your calling. Come into a conversation with me, and let's see how I can support you. I'd love to see if my academy, my Soul Ascension Business Academy, is a fit for you. Here I take your ideas and put them into a clear path of action towards your big vision dreams, help you overcome self-doubt and believe in yourself like there's no tomorrow, embody the yummy, sacred sales energy that magnetizes your soul tribe and embodies confidence to show up authentically as you. So you can go to Bold Sexy Warrior on Instagram and DM me Soul Ascension, and let's have a chat. Now let's get on with the amazing episode we're gonna have today. I have actually one of my soul sisters from Mastermind that we both participate in with our business coach. I have Miss Bunny Loveshock. As soon as you hear her speak, you're gonna be like, whoa, all the way in Scotland. And Bunny Loveshock is here to help you create, inhabit, and enjoy safer, more loving relationships with yourself, other people, and the world. Her research and expertise in spirituality, interfaith, human behavior, somatics, and psychological safety offer solutions for individual and social change. Backed by science, rich in nature, her interdisciplinary and psycho-spiritual approaches are coveted with whole human health. Bunny's signature programs, Prosperity Unlocks, does not sound yummy, and Inhabit, her one-to-one mentoring and live events have helped thousands of people dissolve the blocks that stop them from living a life full of satisfaction and success. Her clients, listen to this, my loves, include Olympic athletes, successful entrepreneurs, musical legends, CEOs, fashion designers, actors from shows such as Game of Thrones and Glow royalty, midwives, and many more. So we know we're going to have a juicy episode. And I just welcome, buddy. I'm so happy you're here.
So happy to be here. Thank you so much. Delighted and very excited about,
Oh my goodness.
where we're going to go.
Oh, as soon as you and I met, you came into our business mastermind a little bit later than I did. And I was just like, who is this? I love her vibes and I love what you're about. There's a lot of overlap. And I'm like, we need to have you on my show. So I would love to have you share with the world your story. It's so powerful and it blows me away.
Thank you. Well, a lot of my story ultimately came from a place of experiencing pain, and I wanted to change that. I wanted to change that. So, when I was a little girl, I think like a lot of us, I really believed in magic, and I knew that was real, and I knew that there were things that we couldn't see, and I felt a real affinity, with that. I just thought everyone could see people that had died. It was a shock to me that people didn't communicate with people when they were sort of outside of their bodies, and I also just thought people, had the idea of what I call the glimmer, that there was this trust and this intuition and this knowing that we are all born with, but we unlearn that. And for me, that was my experience, that through some of the interruptions to my piece that I had, including some near-death experiences and some interruption to my brain and other I think we've all been there with the boss who bullies us in corporate, or perhaps the boyfriend that says, I love you, but does not love you, all these different types of experiences, then leading through to really a physical breakdown and my body shutting down, and my own sort of devil wears Prada moment when at that point I was a producer working on London Fashion Week and with another big brand, and I was in the back of the ambulance, and the ambulance guy was trying to wrestle my phones off me whilst I was trying to convince him that my answering that phone call was more important. And he was saying, I think you're more important than this phone call. But the whole way through everything that was happening, and there were really rich and wonderful experiences too, I never stopped believing in magic or being unapologetically magical. And for me, that was just very, very powerful, and something that continues to fuel me in the work that I do today.
Beautiful. And so if we can just dive in a little bit deeper with your story. Wow. So that was the dip, was when you, you realized you were reaching for that phone when your own health was in jeopardy. And so from there, what happened afterwards? Was life immediately different? Like, was that your aha? Like, whoa.
I love that question. Thank you. For me, it was it was one of the I think the many things that happened where you'd think that would be powerful enough, but the next day I was back in the office,
Right.
saying, I'm so sorry I missed that meeting yesterday, whilst everyone being like, well, I'm not sure this is the right thing. But when you're working in highly competitive and patriarchal and
Yes.
oppressively socialized environments, then there is a strange thing that happens, to our nervous system. And so you get very used to being, as I was then, just in survival, in survival. And whilst I was working and, moving around the world and working with huge brands such as Lamborghini and Graf Diamonds and opening, 5-star hotels, at the heart of what was happening was again that little magical being in me who'd never left. So the person that was empathetic, the person that knew what was happening in rooms or in people, or the person that just really had a sense of, I think maybe we can have a conversation, and there's a different way to do this. And my formal study had been going on since I was a kid, because also I grew up, with spiritualists. And so my family, we went to spiritualist church, for example. So there was always mediums and psychics, and people could,
Mm.
there was, and you went for healing. This was a regular occurrence, that you went for support, again, for the non-physical body and that which couldn't be seen. And so my formal training also continued through that lineage, that family lineage, and then also into things that we now really recognize, but we didn't like 25 years ago, such as emotional freedom technique, or even Reiki, or Kuan Yin healing, or magnified, or distant. All of these things which have been with us for eons became formalized, and so that the formal training happened too. Then for me, that there was always love, was always present too, and that was
Mm.
something that never ever left me. This presence of love, this essence of love, this perfume, if you will, or this cauldron. There was just this limitless supply of love. If I was able to create a sensation in myself or my environment of safety, because I do really feel that sometimes the reason we can keep love at arm's length is because our biology just doesn't quite feel safe enough yet, and that is all very that's all available to evolve. That's all available to evolve, which is what I also learned. Yeah.
And that is so beautiful. I mean, I say bunny, when you're in the ambulance and there's that phone that you're reaching for. And it's so true that we can be held hostage by our nervous system,
Mhm,
and
mhm.
we are in that moment so locked in to what we believe, like our ego believes is the most important, and we can't see anything else. That's like the tunnel vision, right? And so how powerful and profound that, even with that, it just keeps us going on this adrenaline. And what I'm really hearing is you're saying, even with that though, there was still that energy of love being there, that magic, that essence. So I'm really curious, when did that start to wake up more and more, or be louder than the ego part?
Yeah, I love that. Thank you. I would really say it was through the death of my gran, which was some years ago now, but she was was and still remains very important to me. But interestingly, it was in the clearing of the family home, in her home. And as I was kind of leading that and taking care of it, I started to find things, parts of her, which she'd never really openly shared. And by that, I mean, just scrapbooks of poetry that she'd written, or articles that she'd cut out and had also scrapbooked, or um, the fact that she'd spent sort of almost 10 days with the Dalai Lama but hadn't really told anyone, or was an early adopter of transcendental meditation, that she owned multiple properties and was a woman of really quite definite wealth and resource, and that she was so on top of her life. Her account book, which she wrote in every day, was tallied up to the penny, until the day that she died.
Wow.
So there was just all, so it was like discovering and meeting her all over again. And in that moment, I realized that I must give myself permission to be who I was and how I showed up, because I didn't want my family to go through my house when I had died and I had still kept who I was a secret. I was waiting for someone else to give me permission. And we can feel that in the heart space, right? It's really, really powerful. And so for me, that really was the beginning of the uncloaking, as I think of it, or the reveal, as I might think of it as well. And and it was still sort of from like beyond the veil, the other side of the grave. She was still taking care of me. She was still looking out for me. She was, there was an invitation to be all that I am and all that I don't know yet. And that invitation is there for all of us.
I'm feeling goosebumps. I'm listening to that part of your story. And I'm guessing, as the audience is tuning in, like, there are some people who are really leaning into this, Funny, because they're likely at this spot right now where it's like, I'm not living my truth. I'm in that job that's probably like the golden handcuffs. It's secure financially, but it's soul sucking, and they just don't know how to get out of it because it's the golden handcuffs. So I'm really curious, as you continue sharing your story, just how did that unfold for you? How did you get so courageous and brave?
Thank you for that reflection and that question. And what I would also say to, immediately to everyone that's listening is, there's no rush. There's no rush. If you feel in the heart of who you are, and that's certainly who I was, that there was there was more to me, or there was more to you, and that part wants to express itself. Again, something I often say is that love perfumes inside here, our soul signature, our soul scent. We'll find a way to permeate our environment, and may that be through the law of grace and not through the law of near-death experiences, as I had. That it can come in a gentler way. So I would offer that there is a space of knowing that you've actually already made a really powerful decision, which is to get to know more of who you are, to, as I say, to meet yourself as if for the first time. Every time is such a profound practice, because then you start to be able to meet other people in the world as if for the first time every time. And even in that medicine, relationships change, opportunities that you might have been slightly blinkered to. And there's all sorts of, somatic and spiritual reasons, all sorts of biological and spiritual reasons for that. But if you're able to celebrate your choice of recognizing that you've met more of you, and then each day, if you're able to meet yourself as if for the first time every time, then you start to create a little bit more safety. And when we feel safer, we can create a little bit more resource. And when we've got a wee bit more resource, we can begin to spread our wings a little bit more widely. And that's a really like a pipette, a sipping practice, where over time, weeks, months, years, like me, you find in yourself in an altogether different life, in one that's full of enchantment, and that's full of magic, and that's full of success.
Okay. Oh my God. I don't want to stop you because it's like poetry every time you speak. And I do want to zoom into what really resonated with me that you just shared, is when you meet yourself for the first time. Yeah. And my sense is this might be a new concept to some people as they're listening, or, it's like, what does that mean? Like, I've heard that before, but I don't really know what that means. So can we unpack that a little bit?
Sure. So what I love about that question, and is a way I'll answer it, but I'm probably going to answer it in a spiral-esque manner. So I would just ask everyone to stay with me. Stay with me. Stay with me. Come with me.
Pull away.
Come with me on this. So we love to make meaning out of things, and we love to cognitively understand things. So the trick here, or the spell, or the piece of magic really is that when you start to meet yourself as if for the first time every time, it can look like a lot of things, but more than what it looks like or has it means by it, there's a sense to it. And that sense is that you may notice that you weren't quite as judgmental about yourself today. Or you may notice that you really did order what you wanted for lunch, because you were giving yourself permission. Or you may notice that actually you had an inner ding, an instinct to reach out and connect with someone, not knowing what might happen, but a little bit like you and I did. We knew immediately we were in an energetic field, and we saw one another. We were like, yes, I would like to spend more time with you.
Yes.
And it's when we don't listen to those things that we miss out on a lot of loving connection and opportunity. And meeting ourselves as if for the first time every time would also be, so say I hadn't, or you hadn't reached out to me, but I wake up tomorrow and that same nudge is still there.
Yeah.
and then I respond to it. So I'm meeting myself without judgment in that space as if for the first time. And then perhaps that creates a little bit more space around me. And then that also means when you meet other people, maybe stuff that might have annoyed you or irritated you previously, it doesn't do that so much. Or maybe
Mm.
something that you were missing that delighted you, you start to spend more time with it. Or maybe it's that you can walk past a mirror and smile at yourself and say, "Good morning. Hello,
Mhm.
you. Hi. How are you today? What would you like to do today? What would you really
Mhm.
like to do today?" And connect with, the soul that lives in the body,
Mm.
as opposed to um as opposed to, I would say, acting as a stranger to ourselves. Because
Ooh.
for me, some of my, I think some of my most powerful experiences have been when other people have had more of a sense of me than I have had of myself, or when
Mhm.
other people have seen something that I haven't seen, or from a very human level, if I eat something that I'm allergic to and I know it's going to cause me pain, why am I doing that?
Right.
And
And how
I'm
many
choosing,
do
yeah,
that?
I
Yes.
know, I know. It's like I know it's going to cause pain. I know I'm going to disturb myself. So
Mm.
then if I can disturb myself less, which can look like making different decisions and then really standing in those
Mm.
decisions, really standing in that power of those decisions, whatever they are, then I begin to also befriend myself. And
Yeah.
I can bring a friendliness to myself, and then I can begin to bring a friendliness to other people. And that's really when we can also feel the dynamic of relationships with ourselves and with other people shift.
Absolutely. I love this so much. I'm trained and certified in a method called HIKOMI, and it's a mindfulness method that combines neuroscience and psychology and spirituality, and it's very much somatic work. I'm sure you're familiar with it. I see you right now saying yes. And what it translates to is, how do I stand in relationship with myself, and how do I stand in relationship with others? And this is why I was also very attracted to the work that you and the work that you do, because we both operate and support our clients with somatic um, approaches. And when you speak about going into relationship with yourself and befriending yourself, when I was a psychologist, I specialized in food and body image, because guess
Mm.
what, I struggled with it myself. And those are just doorways deeper into self-love, into loving ourselves. It's an invitation, if we can look at it that way. And when you were also sharing, Benny, about, it's about choices, um, what came up for me is also how many of us struggle to be in relationships that are healthy, whether they're romantic relationships or family relationships or even friendships. We can often see toxic or unhealthy dynamics in business relationships too. And so when you were sharing about that, I'm like, yeah, it's like, let's come back home to us and choose ourselves. Why are we putting ourselves in a place where we're being mistreated, where we're allowing that hurt to continue in our lives?
Yeah, I love that. And there's such a beautiful space that opens up there to
Mhm.
be able to just simply be with that and explore it. And that's also why I speak about this work as a sipping. We want to slow down and sit
Mm.
and
Yeah.
savor. Because that part you're also speaking about, the from the Buddhist perspective, the hungry ghost, that which cannot be satiated.
Yes.
There's so it's so complicated. Well, it's so complex in terms of where our inner systems are at, and
Mm.
even being able to be in a healthy relationship with ourselves in the first instance. And that for me begins with the question, like, did I choose myself today? You know, did I wake
Mm.
up and did I choose myself? You know, I choose to be, I choose to be me. I choose to be this name. I choose to be this person. I choose to be in this bed. I choose these people who are around me. You know, I choose my familiars, my beloved. You know, my career. The consciousness shift that can come, and by that I mean an increase in presence, an increase in clarity, an increase in connection that can
Mm.
come from a place where if no one told you, like you do get to choose yourself first. And that comes with a lot of things, you know, that are in the zeitgeist, but what it means for me within the way that I teach, it's that, you know, let me stand up with a, you know, a hand on my heart and a hand on my hara, my tummy, and say, yeah, I choose this right now. I choose me today, you know. And then I always say, universe, you know, show me how good it can get. Show me how good it can get, and then begin the day from there.
That is so powerful. And I know that as people are listening, there's some that are going, well, how do I do that? You know, because it definitely is a lot of inner work. It's easier said than done, right? And I would say it's like the greatest medicine. Personally, as we're recording this, because I do the inner work, I continue to. And what I've noticed about myself, and Bunny, I've shared this with our mastermind as well, with our peers and our coaches, is that in this moment, because my core wound is abandonment. And in this moment, I can say in the last, I'll say like week and a half, I have never felt so deep in my relationship with me, so whole. And I literally feel embodied in the sense of wholeness, in the sense of richness inside that I have never experienced before. And I can feel that, you know, that core wound comes up in different aspects, because how we do one part of our life is how we do all parts of our lives. So I noticed how it came up in business. I noticed how it came up in my relationship with my kids, like as a parent, and then also like a relationship where it's no longer a relationship, the person ghosted, and of course, you know, that's going to bring up some core wounds. And I'm in this place where it's just like, wow, as I have really kept choosing me and doing that deep somatic work, releasing what doesn't serve or support, oh, I just feel so whole inside. I cannot explain, other than that sense of longing is no longer. And of course, everything's always on the spectrum, right? Because I could feel that gap closing more and more and more. And it's just been powerful how when we keep everything you're saying, keep choosing. And then it's very conscious work too, like consciously saying, I choose me. I choose, and I see my little inner child. And it's like, I choose us. You deserve so much love, you know, and that's powerful. So I just felt called to share that, because I know the power of your work, and just how when we literally say to ourselves consciously, I choose me, I choose to love myself deeply, it shifts everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, if you think that we're sobering up, you know, from the patriarchal concept of the one, and that, you know, predominantly most women have been socialized to wait for the engagement question, you know,
Yes.
and that our entire lives and the entire model is about being chosen by someone else and being palatable enough to be chosen by another, in inverted commas. And yet you can marry yourself. Your sacred marriage to yourself is one of the greatest gifts you can absolutely give to yourself. And if that feels, you know, if that feels strange, and if that feels unknown, you can look for examples of that and delight yourself by creating, you know, kind of mood board of people who you know that they're in sacred harmony, i.e., when you look at them, their balance is there, their harmony is there, their glow is there, their
Mm.
satisfaction, joy, and also that they may too have been, to the underworld more than once. And yet, even if they go there, they know the way back now. And they know the way back. And the polarity is there. The polarity is there, that the light and the dark is there, and that we exist in the middle. And that's a great gift of freedom.
Oh my gosh. Oh, so many things I want to hop in on. What we're going to do is when we come back from commercial, I'd love to zone in a little bit more on marrying ourselves, that sacred marriage with ourselves, and just exactly the process you support your clients in.
Wonderful.
Beautiful.
OMTimes TV. Imagine becoming a super influencer. Reinvent yourself, invest in your brand, and then manifest your success with a robust spheric approach. OMTimes Media and Broadcasting offers a unique and multifaceted way to become the spiritual and conscious influencer you deserve to be by putting your message across our powerful platform with its proven record of integrity and excellence. Through our produced shows, OMTimes offers the opportunity to become a social media TV personality, a radio show host, an OMTimes magazine columnist, and a syndicated podcaster, all in one shot. By live streaming your show on OMTimes TV and broadcasting it across the extensive OMTimes radio and TV networks, you become more than a host. You become an ambassador and a force for positive change. OMTimes. Open yourself to the possibilities.
Are you feeling maxed out working one-on-one with clients and you're deeply desiring to scale your business for more time freedom without sacrificing your income, but rather expanding it? Many of my clients who are light workers, healers, practitioners, and even coaches, they're often multi-modality, are coming to me because they are sick and tired of working with clients on a one-off session model where the clients are coming in on an as-need basis. Or if they're selling packages, they are selling them in the sense of buy 5, get 1 free, or the greater the number of sessions, the greater the discount. The problem with this is it's still a dollar for hours business model. And so that leaves a practitioner feeling really exhausted and overwhelmed from having to put so much time, effort, and energy in finding new clients that they're not operating in their most elevated self with their current clients. And so if this is you, I would love to share with you that it's time to elevate your business and scale it to sell high ticket one-on-one programs or even group programs. This will allow you to have more deeper impacts because you're raising your clients' results, you're scaling your business, and you're having that time freedom you deeply are yearning for. If this is resonating with you, love, I'd love to invite you to come on a soul business alignment call with me so that you can stop feeling like you're on this roller coaster ride and start to feel safe and stable and even having fun in your business and your finances. Please go to electrifymybusiness.com to apply and we'll hop on a call. I can't wait to connect.
If I could be you, and you could be me for just 1 hour. If we could find a way to get inside each other's minds. Walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes. Well, before you abuse, criticize and accuse. Walk a mile in my shoes.
Hello, welcome back, loves. So we are going to just dive in deeper with this sacred marriage of ourselves, because really all of those questions I had at the beginning about longingness and being relentlessly in love with ourselves and really showing up and moving into opening all the possibilities that life has for us. I'd love for you, Bunny, to like really share with us what this whole process looks like when you work with your clients.
I mean, to be at the place of or to arrive to ourselves, you know, really that's the first invitation. So, you know, often when I first meet clients, and I wonder if you have this too, you know, and I ask them, you know, what are you longing for? That this is what tends to come out of their mouth. They'll say, well, you know, I would love more of, and if I could just have some of that, and well, you know, and
Yes.
like that thing would be really good too, and you know, and I will look at them and didn't say anything. You know, they didn't name anything. They didn't name a single thing. They, you know, it's this space of there's no
OMTimes TV.
there's
Okay. Bunny, I don't know what's happening, but there's like all this. It's the power. It's the energy. Okay, let's do take two. Start again.
We'll do that.
So you were saying when you ask your clients, what are you longing for? You often hear them answer with, I want some more of this. And what I will get you a start there.
Yeah, and really they're never saying what the more is. You know, they don't say what that is. So you know, there's just that pause of, you know, I want more, pause, no other words. You know, I would love it if nothing else comes out after that part of the sentence, or and I just always think, okay, you haven't quite arrived to yourself yet. And so so there's always for me the invitation to arrive, you know, and we get to arrive to ourselves in our space. And you know, and to me that's sort of the taking off of your coat and the sitting down at the table and the getting the glass of wine or the mug of tea or cacao or whatever it is, and then there's the settling in time, and that for me is something that always has to be available. You know, that we can't sort of turn up at, you know, midday on the dot and then dive into you know, kind of essentially what we refer to as the ice, you know, because for many people, you know, there is a freeze in the system, and we want that to be able to thaw in the most gentle and loving and compassionate way. So to move from the space of, you know, a gentle arrival, you're unhurried, the directions were really clear, they're going to be getting clearer, to be nourished in a conversation that is full of different practices, a little of what I've shared today from the somatic inquiry, which creates a safer relationship with yourself and your body. And therefore, that also creates a safer relationship with what I refer to as this, you know, the centers, the head, the heart, the hara. You know, the hara being the ungendered cauldron, you know, of us, the ungendered womb space. And it's like, you know, I can spend a time and a while encouraging people to spiral out of their heads, because people will often tell me what they think about things, but I'm much more curious to get them into their heart so they can tell me what they feel. And then I'm even more curious to get them into their hara so that they can tell me what they really know, they really know about themselves.
Can you say a little bit more about the hara? Is that, you said it's in the womb space and it's ungendered. So is it more about our spirit then?
Yeah, so it relates to a lot of Eastern practices, or practices that have come to us from the East. And the hara is, it's below the tummy button, maybe a couple of you know, inches, and if anybody felt called to pop their hand there, And you know, that's that, yeah, I know you're just like, okay, yeah. That's our first hello. You know, we can be really used to working with our hands and bringing our hands together, and you know, certainly laying a hand on the heart, but to lay a hand on the hara, which also for a lot of people who are women, that can be a very confronting space to even touch your own abdomen.
It's
So
very vulnerable.
yeah, very vulnerable. Yeah, yeah. And I'm very like Winnie the Pooh. I think all tummies are gorgeous, you know. So I think it's, and actually what we want is a soft belly. You know, we want to, and that's a lot of what I do is to work with women to create a softness so that the breath drops, you know, and therefore the collarbones open, and then the spirit, the soul who lives in the, you know, can live in lots of places, but definitely lives in all of the divine intelligent cells that we have, then we start to begin to create a space where, again, the instinct, the knowing, the inner being, the soul, spirit, whatever your language is, you know, can start to be heard, because it will have been yelling very loudly for a long time.
Absolutely. I'm like, where were you when I was struggling with my body image when I was in my 20s? And then the other piece is, so I relate with this as a shamanic practitioner, everything is through the womb space. Our wisdom is held there. And when we wake up first thing in the morning, because we're setting intentions for dream time to work through whatever it is that we want to work through. And then even if you don't recall your dream, when you wake up, we tune into our womb space and ask if our intention was met.
Yes.
And how we feel about the dream, even if we can't cognitively remember what happened, but we can always feel into it. And it's through the what you would call hara, and we would just say womb space. And it's such a powerful, powerful way to connect. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And that, again, that going to sleep with that wonderful intention to spend time with yourself, you know, to spend time with yourself in the dreaming state, which is where the prophets and the poets and the beloveds spend their time too. And it's, you know, this conversation we're having about coming home to ourselves and returning and moving in, I often think that as clients, you know, and as humans and as people in general, that, you know, we live in a mansion of ourselves, but more often than not, we're living in the guest bedroom at the back of the mansion, you know, and sometimes we're living in the wardrobe.
What an analogy, buddy. Like, my mind is like,
and
you speak so poetically, and so I love your analogies. Yes.
And so it's, yeah, so you get it, right? So you're kind of like, wait a minute, you know, what am I doing in here when I've got all of these rooms to explore? And that's where someone like me comes in, or someone like you, where I can say, well, how does it feel coming out of this room? You know, we don't even have to go in another room, but like, look at the art that's hanging here. Look at the wisdom that's in the library. You know, look at this design studio that's here for all of your ideas and creativity. And that process, you know, is very much, that's the map that I lead people through, to explore the mansion of them, to re-meet what they might have forgotten. And that can often be the inner child, for sure. Also the inner teenager, the maiden. I work archetypally too. So I'm very much interested in archetypes as certainly as physical representation, maiden, mother, magi, crone, for example, but also as symbology, also as sense and sensation in the body, also as any little thing that asks for my attention. Again, I'm curious to bring a friendliness to it, and to encourage my clients and community to do the same, because then of course we get to meet ourselves without judgment, which also means we get to meet other people without judgment. And that can happen on a small and a very, very big scale as well. You know, my work has taken me around the world to work with some extraordinary people, and that has also included a lot of violence and a lot of environments where people are they're very stuck in their underworld, or they are struggling to balance actions that might have been taken, and yet there is generally always a thread, and there's always more doors to throw open. And as I think of it, there's always more windows to throw open, so the spring of our life can meet us. And that's I'm absolutely here for the season of winter, and I'm also here for reminding people that spring will come again, but it may be a couple of days, it might be a couple of weeks, it could also be a couple of years. It all depends on the pacing of how safe you feel and the environment that you're in, and that safety is always, that precludes everything for me.
Agreed. Everything, because without that sense of safety, we can't let down our guards and our defenses and look within, right? And it does start with the relationship between client and you. So that is powerful. That is so powerful. And then that expands into the world. Oh, wow. And so I'm really curious for the audience, Bunny. They may be leaning in and be like, how do I work with this lady? Like, I want to know more about her. Tell us what you've got going on for your offerings and how you do work with people.
Yeah, for sure. Well, the first thing I would say is Instagram is kind of like my shamanic prescription pad, right? So there's so there's always going to be something going on in there, and there are serious things in the world, but me taking myself too seriously is not one of those serious things. So there is a lot of humor.
Oh, I got me that medicine.
Yeah, yeah.
Me taking myself not too seriously. I love it.
And then if people are curious about how to, say, unlock their personal blueprint for prosperity, then I have Prosperity Unlocked, which is a beautiful self-directed program that it just feels like this. It feels like we're right in the room. That's a piece of feedback I get all the time, that people say, I just feel like we're having dinner or a cup of tea, and it's a joy. So that's there as an entry into more prosperity, which includes your money for sure, but it also includes your creativity, love and health and companionship too. I also have a program, Liberate, the Body of Your Business, which is me bringing spirit, science, and strategy together to be able to introduce you to the essence of your business, because she has one. She really has one. And when you develop a partnership with your business, oh my goodness, you liberate freedom, you liberate financial plenty, you liberate time to be able to do things that really have meaning again for you, for your clients, and for your community. And so that's alive, and I'm very, very happy to welcome you into that. And then beyond that, there is one-to-one. There's one-to-one support, of which there are only a certain amount of spaces in the year, because there's so much within that container, and it's just a joy, and it's at a human pace, and that's for at least a year. But also, what I would say is many of my clients have been with me for a very long time now. It begins with a program. It moves into one-to-one, but we don't see one another as regularly. For example, even today, I had an annual call with a client I've been working with for 6 or 7 years, because she's so empowered now and so in her self-leadership and self-mastery that it's just a little check-in. It's just as we would have done, centuries ago, eons ago, when we were in temple and learning, so that the support is always there, but we trust our clients to be incredible and amazing and wonderful.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. Well, I don't even have the words. I feel like I'm like just stuttering as I'm listening to you, and I'm just like, oh, yummy, yummy, yummy. And I love our conversations, even in the DMs, you and I, just like how you're sharing about your clients and just the wins that you're having and your programs. I'm like, yeah. Like, that sounds so yummy. So basically, those of you who are tuning in, you're like, I'm getting wet listening to this. Just go and connect with Bunny.
Yeah, absolutely. An easy thing would be, just drop me a message, drop me a DM
Yeah.
in Instagram, you can also sign up for my newsletter in that space. It's a love letter for your heart that comes every
Mm.
Friday for you. But, just come say hi, and we can have a chat. I'm always available for that.
Beautiful. And so all of the ways that you can connect with Benny will be in the show notes. So I do encourage you to go check that out. But Benny, could you just quickly spell out your name so that people might just be Googling as
Yeah,
they are
for
listening?
sure. Yeah, for sure. So Bunny is Bunny, and then Loveshock, which is 2 words. Just ignore that. Sorry, I don't know if you heard that in the background.
Calling the doctor.
Loveshock is Love, and Shock is Schock, and there's only one.
It's a fun last name. All right, love. So in the last, we'll say about 7-ish minutes, I would love for you to gift the audience with your guided meditation, whatever is feeling called for you to speak to us for this love cauldron. And just cue me and I'll come in with the light language at the very end here.
Amazing. Thank
So
you.
you've got about 7 minutes.
Okay, amazing. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Well, what I would love to invite you to do is to play what I call honeybee eyes with me. So we're going to play honeybee eyes, and this is in the beginning an eyes open practice. And even when we move into that space, when I invite you to close your eyes, if that doesn't feel comfortable for you, don't worry about it. You can do it with your eyes open, and it'll be just as powerful and just as love filled. So for honeybee eyes, I'm going to invite you to let your eyes wander around the space that you're in. And when they land on something delicious and delightful, just let them rest there. Let them rest there. And let them enjoy whatever that is just for a minute or so, or even less, even a second or so. Just like a honeybee moving from flower to flower. And then let your eyes wander to something else lovely. And just noticing already how you are connecting more to your environment, how you're connecting more to yourself, and how you're connecting to the spaces in between as well. If you have a window or if you have plants that are surrounding you, you might notice that your eyes very naturally move towards those spaces. Now, what I would also offer is that we're not making meaning out of anything here. You're simply delighting yourself. You're reminding yourself of all the beautiful things that you're surrounded by, all the prosperous elements that are with you, and just allowing your honeybee eyes to flutter from lovely thing to lovely thing to lovely thing. Now, if that feels good, you might want to do a little bit of looking around. So you might want to look over your right shoulder. You might want to look over your left shoulder. You might want to, if you are somewhere that's comfy and it's available, you might even want to look up above you. What's above you? And of course, you might want to look below, just checking under that desk, just checking under that desk or the bed. And then, if it feels good, you might like to close your eyes from this place. And again, if it's not available to you, you can keep your eyes open. So you might want to bring your attention to your feet and notice what they are resting upon. And you might allow yourself to have that support as much as you want right now. You might want to bring your attention to your ankles and your shins, your knees and your thighs. You might notice the support that is here for them. And again, let yourself have that support as richly and fully as you want right now. You might want to bring your attention to your lower back, middle, upper back, and back of the head. And if those parts of you are resting on something, just let the thing that's holding you, the chair, the sofa, the floor, the bed, let it have the best day of its life by holding you even more fully and richly. That's its entire purpose. Yeah. That's all it wants, is to support you. And really let yourself have that as fully and as richly as you want right now. You might want to bring your attention to your hands and what they're resting on, to your forearms and upper arms, across the collarbones, the whole back of the head, the top of the head, the whole of your face, your eyes, your cheeks, your nose, your lips, your mouth. And if it feels available, you might want to bring your attention inwards into the throat and then spiral down into the heart space. Just noticing not only the center of the heart, but the front, the back of the heart, the top, the bottom, the sides. Hey, heart, how are you doing today? You might want to spiral through the rib cage like a helter-skelter, a little light beam, into your tummy, into the hara. And from that place, let's welcome some light language.
Sira kura simurakia marakia sorakia makua sinerakia rakia sorkorti nerakortia. Moraku rakia serakia sorkorti nerakia moraku rakia sarakorti nerakia sorkortia. Breathing in and suspending your breath. So allowing the power of your breath to conjure in, and then just very slowly rooting your breath like that of a tree into the ground. Beautiful. Thank you so much. I could listen to you all day, Bunny. I honor you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you, my loves, for tuning in. Do go connect with this amazing soul. Thank you, Bunny.
Thank you.